Go. All right. Approaching the green, Palmetto Championship one-off edition. This is not a course I was super excited to dig into because well, actually it was fun, but for the most part, I've enjoyed the work I've done on digging into courses, digging into what works, looking at the course after the fact, figuring out what works, and then having those notes for the next time they play here. Like I've experienced a little more success, I think, based on some of the numbers I've had from previous years where I've kept my notes. Everything you're doing here is just a waste of time because they're not playing here ever again. Maybe way down the road, but we should be back to playing in Canada next year.
Canada.
Yeah, so Congaree, I don't know how much you dug in. What did you figure out about just Congaree? I think I'm saying it right.
Congaree. It is in South Carolina. It is Congaree Golf Club. It is a par 71. It is hella long at over 7,600 yards. It is a fairly new course. It was just built in 2017. It is a Tom Fazio design, and like you mentioned, it is the first time that the PGA will be playing at this course, and it's going to be the last time. So it's very difficult to handicap situations like this. The most that I could gather is that a lot of people are comparing it to Australian courses, where there's not really any rough. Instead, you have sand. So if you don't hit in the fairway, you're in this big like sand. It's not a bunker, but it's just like pebbles of sand chunks. And so it
Yeah, there's going to be like grass and fescue and stuff popping out of the bunkers. It's always bunkers. It's going to be similar to what we saw in our last major there, where you're able to, ground clubs. You're basically the whole thing is just a beach. I mean, you can see here, I will say too, the people who design the courses, when the courses are not part of the game, usually do a pretty good job, especially the Masters. That was wonderfully done. Whoever did this, like, really spent some time on it and then got sick of it after like 8 holes. And the bunkers get so bad. Like, and I actually spent some time. I'm like, oh, I'll design it myself. So I watched like 2 YouTube videos on that and realized it would take me about 18 hours to do that. So I'm just gonna play the shitty version of Congaree. And yeah, like Pam said, tons of sand. Absolute. There are zero rough. You cannot hit it in the rough. If you're hitting, off the fairway, odds are you're just gonna be in like this little second cut, or you're gonna be in a giant pile of sand. So bring your sand wedge. Be ready for that. It is terribly long. The only thing I will say about that is there is a lot of not speculation. I suppose it is speculation because really we haven't seen this course play. They're saying it's going to play firm, so you'll have some big hops, some big bounces on the fairway. So even some of the guys that aren't real big bombers, don't hit too long, might have some nice drives here if they can find the middle of the fairway and watch it roll about 40 yards. So it's going to play long, but things may be reachable just based on that. Again, we'll find out. I'm going to go kind of easy on head to heads for the tournament and maybe look at getting a little more, exotic once we get to round two. And I've seen how this course, like, I might watch this course more on Thursday than I do in the rest of the weekend just to get a feel for how it's playing. But yeah, there are a couple long holes here.
But one example of how long it is, there's hole 5. It is a par 4, but it is 645 yards. So that is just one little tidbit of how long it is in length that it's going to play. And then 2 par 4s in the front that are over 520 yards.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, for a lot of people's sake, hopefully the fairways are playing nice and fast, and these things just roll and roll and roll. Before we get to it, I played the first couple holes 2 under. I don't know what the course record is. I read in 7 different places that Luke List holds the course record. Luke List plays here. I believe Kevin Kisner was another guy who plays here regularly, but it would not, nowhere would it tell me what the course record was. Just that Luke List was the holder of it. And of course, they've never played competitive rounds here, so it's probably not. It's not actually in the record book.
It's
So
not like official.
I'm just assuming I'm going to beat the tar out of it if I stand in the sand, and for the most part. And also, if you do notice, my little avatar is wearing a 76ers hat today. Update to the game that lets you have NBA hats now, and I bet on them tonight. So go Sixers, go Philly. I hate that city otherwise. A little bit of water here. You can see I'm hitting over, but with that, we'll start on some outrights. Who's your guy this week?
I'm gonna go with a familiar name in Sung J M at plus 2,000 odds. I think this course it's playing really long. Your irons are maybe we don't know anything about this course, which means you can kind of just throw a name into the hat, and more than likely you're still not gonna hit. So I'm gonna look for the player who's really good off the tee, and he's really good with this putting. That's got to be good for something. So Sung JM is exactly that. I think you can kind of eliminate how players are doing as of late because we have no clue how they're going to do at a brand new course, playing as long as it is. So I'm going to go with somebody who is looking for exactly what I have, looking to what I'm trying to use, which is off the tee and putting. Can you hit it long? Can you hit it straight? Are you gaining some strokes? And then can you putt and make some birdies? That is Sung JM.
Yeah, catching some birdies is going to be important. I think this course does get scored on. You can see I just drove the green on a par four and then three putted for par. That's very Andy. Well, actually, the driving the green might not be very Andy-esque, but something I can do pretty regularly. I took Brooksy. I don't like betting short odds like this. Maybe in a field like this, he's like plus 850. And again, I'm probably going to take it pretty easy on this. But when I ran the numbers, he was my number one guy. It wasn't terribly close. I mean, DJ was right there, not too far off. But for the most part, Brooks actually kind of does need a tune up. We talked about
Mm-hmm.
a little, we were a little off the air. We were talking about like the kind of people who are here. And it's, all these European guys that are right after the top two favorites, just like, well, what are they going to do? Fly back to England and then go to California next week? It's like, well, they're going to play here. And then you got a lot of guys who are tour grinders looking for paychecks. And then you have DJ and Brooks at the top. And Brooks probably actually does need a tune up. He always plays really well in majors. I'm guessing he's hoping he continues that trend next week, but I think he could use a little bit of a tune up. I don't think it's just like a pity start, whereas I do think that might be the case for DJ. So Brooks at plus 850, not in love with this, but I'm going to play it because I'm showing a titch of value based on the rest of the field is kind of weak.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, and you did say that too. Like you throw some darts on this one because there are. I'm just putting like garbage. There is a decent chance that like if Brooks and DJ don't play that well, and some of these Europeans are just kind of whiling away the time, like
Wide open.
somebody with a big number might hit this. So
Mm-hmm.
long shots this week. What do you got, Pam?
I'm going to do Harold Varnell III as a first round leader plus 4,500. Like you said, throw some darts, and I'm going to throw some darts at Harold Varner, who tends to surprise every now and then. He's kind of all over the place. He's kind of inconsistent, but I think a course like this could perhaps suit him well. He can bomb it off the tee, and he can stay in the fairway. Maybe if he can just come up with some putting. He did take second at the RBC Heritage, and he took 19th. I mean, he has some good scores, so he can hit it low. It's just throw some darts. Why not? I kind of don't have rhyme or reason other than he tends to be at the top of the leaderboard a lot at some of these weak field tournaments early on, and then he kind of falters or maybe hangs around the top 20. But that's my dart.
No, I like that, and I love Varner. I've bet him a bunch. First round leader's a good look for him. He is a guy who can just fire one low round and then not win, not even come close.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just stick around like the top 20 or 30 for the rest of the tournament. So I took Patton Kazire. This is a guy I actually
Okay.
bet. I bet him earlier in the week at a worse number even. So I took some 40 to 1 earlier. I'm going to add a little 45 right now. He's a guy I've backed a few times in the last few weeks. He's killing it on approach. Actually, his putting is really good right now, which isn't usually something I take into, a fact, but I guess it doesn't hurt. And he is really getting left behind with some of his off the tee numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they're saying these fairways are going to be wide, which as you can see if anyone's watching here, that the designer did not make these fairways very wide. I think they're actually going to play a lot wider than how this one looks. But if they're playing wide and fast, maybe some of these guys who are struggling with some of their off the tee numbers, it isn't going to be quite as bad for them if they can get, some nice lies on a wide open. I'm hoping for like a tarmac sized fairways for some of the guys I'm going to be betting this week because they're going to need it. I'm actually going to take a few guys who haven't been playing that well off the tee, but yeah, Kazire 45 to 1, and just like Pam did first round leader. This is when I get guys up into 40s or beyond. I'm usually looking at some top 20, top 30 or something too. So I don't hate that. I cashed on one of them last week. I took Gooch as one of my outrights. Ended up playing some top 20, and he got there at 3 to 1. So it doesn't take a lot of those to make up for a few of those, if that makes any sense.
Right. You can hit one good score.
We call the next one marquee matchups, which is tough this week. Like
This
we
is so
bend the
hard.
rules a little. Yeah, we bend the rules a little on these. Marquee is a tough word to use here, unless you just want to go with the Brooks versus DJ matchup.
Dustin,
Yeah,
I was
that's
just
like
gonna say
the
that
only
was your
one.
one marquee option.
Yeah. So I mean, we're very flexible. We're fine with this. So there's a lot of medium to medium big names here. So what'd you find on the when you air quotes marquee?
Marquee. I'm gonna stick with my boy Sung Jae at minus 135 odds over Harris English. I've grown to really enjoy fading English as of late. He has not been good. He has missed several cuts. And if I'm taking Sung Jae because of his off the tee and putting numbers, I am fading English because of his off the tee and putting numbers. So it's kind of just works in its balance, and hopefully he can. His one good tournament that he's had as of yet, English, was taking 13th at Byron Nelson. Well, that was one of like the easiest courses that, hey, anybody, you saw that the winner was minus 25. So
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's
and
just
it
on him
does.
doing well.
It pains me to bet against Harris because he was such a good play last year. But again, it's price. Like his prices were big last year, and he was playing better than his prices really, put out. So I'm
Hmm.
fine with this. He is an absolute fade right now. He weirdly won the Tournament of Champions, and then just like really hasn't had a great round since then.
Nope,
I went.
tired.
I actually did throw one of the big names. I took Hatton over DJ, one of
Okay.
the foreigners that I was speaking of. As this hole is a very heavy dog leg left. I don't think I can even catch the fairway here. We might just hit out of the sand for fun. But Hatton over DJ. DJ is a weird one for me. I'm not sure what he's doing here. It's a South Carolina tournament, I guess. Maybe he's doing like it's like a Joker played in the
Hometown.
whatever
Serbia.
the Serbian Open was. Like, yeah, I don't
The
have an
week before
excuse.
the
I'll
major.
play here. But and that is the thing too. Like he doesn't really need the tune up. He can just click at any minute. So I'm not super excited about him playing all that well here. And truthfully, I have Hatton playing almost as well as him. I have him about evenly priced. Tyrrell's irons are playing a little truer than DJ's right now, and I'm absolutely fine with this. Even if I thought DJ was, going to put forth a solid, honest effort, which is probably 50-50 here, especially if he has a bad Friday, and we'll get to that. If
If you
spoiler alert.
if you are comparing him to Novak Djokovic, Djokovic ended up playing his hometown tournament in Serbia. He ended up winning, and this was
Yeah,
1 week before the French Open major. So if you're going to compare the situation, then perhaps we could have the same happen here. Dustin Johnson playing at home 1 week before the
I
major
know.
comes out with the win.
I don't need that, especially if I bet Brooks and faded him here. And yeah, get spoiler, we'll have more DJ fades. Down the board was much easier because the whole card is down the board. There's a
Man,
lot of and
I wouldn't say
again
easier.
no, I mean it's easier to find a bunch.
I'm going to go with Harold Varno III again at minus 130, this time over Jonathan Vegas. I think you just kind of saw Vegas drop off a bit. He had back to back miscuts at the Valero Texas Open. He had a miscut at the Zurich, which of course is a paired event. But I think Varner, he has sparks of greatness. And with these fairways being wide open and not really, I mean, I think he can do well. He can shock and maybe finish with like a top 10 with the level of competition, with the field that is here. And so maybe I'm going to go with Varner, who is kind of on the up and up. He did take second in RBC, but then he missed the cut at Zurich as well. So we'll end up seeing what happens. But Varner
Yeah,
over Jonathan Vegas.
he's a little hit and miss, but again, he's a guy I
He is
like.
hit and miss.
And hopefully he hits this week. I went with a guy that you're going to hear about a lot, I think, more going forward in Garrick Higo over Ian Poulter, another, foreigner that actually I dislike Poulter. I did play him a little in the outright market because I think he is a feast and famine guy. I think he could win this, and if he doesn't, he's not going to play well enough to beat Higo. I've placed some bets on him, top 20, 30 as well. So I'm fine with this look at even money. It's a guy who's just murdering the European tour. He is. I think it was. I have it right here. He has gone tied fourth, win, tied eighth, win in his four starts leading up to the PGA Championship on the European Tour. European Tour is obviously better than the Corn Ferry. It's still an inferior tour. I hope too many Europeans don't take offense to that, but still, those kind of results anywhere. This guy has won wherever he's gone. Getting even money for him here on a tournament where I think he'll actually, he'll want to play well here. He's absolutely finally coming over here. He's only had 4 rounds on the actual PGA Tour at the PGA, but so I don't have a lot of stats to work with off that. But I'm just going to go with kind of the win equity and how well he's played in Europe. So
Mm-hmm.
Poulter fade with Garrick Higo plus 100.
I think with a lot of these bets, you just have to cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of data. We have no data for the course. We have no data for the players at this course. Some of these are your players, so we don't have data for the players. Some of these are brand new to the tour. We don't have data. It's just a course of unknowns. So either don't bet or cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Or just take it easy. If you're uncomfortable with a course and you still want action, just lower your stakes. I think that's kind of what I'll be. I'll probably hit an outright, and win all these bets. If you lower your stakes, that's usually what happens. But for now, I will probably just go safe route. So that leads us into the prop section. Make miss cut.
This
This
is
is
the only
one.
bet that I actually do love. There's
Yeah.
not much to like, much less love. I really love this one, so I hope that I'm not jinxing myself here, but I'm going to go with Bo Hogue at plus 165 to miss the cut. If you look, this is Bermuda grass greens, and if you look at him playing on Bermuda grass, he has missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 missed cuts in a row on Bermuda grass greens. So I don't know how he can get much easier than that. Like I said, I'm jinxing myself, but he's not very good off the tee. He's not very good with his irons. He's terrible around the greens, and he can't putt. So,
Neither can I. My producer said this when I turned in the stuff for the graphics to get made. He said, I think I follow the PGA Tour pretty closely. He's like, I'm not sure who this guy is. I'm like, he plays in a lot of events, but you're just not going to see him on TV. Like,
right.
and especially if you're watching on the weekend. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's a name you see in the betting lines. But I went with one a little squirrelier. I got squirrely on this for sure. Like I alluded to, I went with DJ to miss at almost 5 to 1.
Ooh.
Just on
Okay.
I mean, it's a big fat price for
Throwing
again.
darts.
And this is going to go down to something a little different as far as his cut making. So he's made the cut at almost every tournament over the past year. The two that he's missed most recently are the two majors. I think like that might speak to how much he probably cares about the next one. He actually won, he won last year. His 3 majors
Right.
ago, he won. He wants to get back to that form. I just can't understand why he would care about this at all. So I'm hoping like a bad Friday leads to a don't give a shit, or a bad Thursday leads to a don't give a
Mm-hmm.
shit Friday. This is a
Show
full
face and
field,
jet.
yeah. And again, it's not like I'm expecting him to miss the cut because he plays so badly,
Right.
or because the field's so tough and everyone plays so well. I'm hoping for a don't give a shit Friday or a withdrawal. Some books will pay miss the cut on withdrawals. I've seen that. Quick question from the chat. We'll get to the hole in one. I don't even want to talk to the hole in one right now. Getting John Rob, but Miss DJ's plus 480, so I'll be on that one. And yeah, a little risky. Again, that's a very very much like, hey, take it easy on this bet kind of bet. I'm not getting real wild with that. I'm gonna shop around. There might even be a better price on that. What is that, nationality or what is that? Yeah, nationality. You didn't
Nationality.
you didn't find these. You did just straight up group betting, which
I
again we're
I
flexible.
looked on multiple books and everyone maybe didn't look correctly, but all I saw was American. And so maybe I just misread. But I'm taking Glover for Group C, which you can find on FanDuel. And it is, I mean, his grouping, I kind of really don't have rhyme for reason for this. It's just one of those things where he's done well at. I read an article that he's played at this course, um, and somehow this flipped. Oh, there we go. On his grouping, you have Brandt Snedeker as the favorite, Ian Poulter, Kevin Kisner, and he's the long shot at plus 280 odds. But you don't like it, you don't like Poulter. You do kind of like Kisner, so that's my worry. But if you look at Bermuda Greens, he's done well. He did take fourth at the Valero Texas Open. He is good around the green. He can putt. He had a few tournaments at on Bermuda grass where he gained strokes putting, and he typically is pretty good off the fairway, off the tee box. So this is these are throwing darts. So I'm going with the longer shot out of the group of pairings that I found.
Yeah, I like Lucas Glover. He's a guy I've bet on. Snedeker, I can never make sense of. Poulter, I said feast or famine. I bet him to win outright, but I also bet against him in a matchup. And then, yeah, Kisner apparently has played here too. There are a few guys who've played here, but again, how much can you really put stock into that? I mean, people can get practice rounds on this course if they want to. So I I decided to go with South American again. I got beat on this one. Honestly, usually I just go with Australian, but boy, the Australian offerings is rough this week. Like, who's actually in for Australia? And of all the course previews I read and how close, like, oh, this is really close to an Australian course. I'm like, well, I kind of wish there were some actual Aussies in the
More
field.
Australians.
I'd bet them if this is just like those Australian sand courses or whatever they want to call them. So I went
Mm-hmm.
with I'm gonna try to nail this. Camilo Villegas. I'm gonna
Camilo
go
Villegas.
all soft L's on this. Camilo Villegas, top South
Camilo
American.
Villegas.
It's Jonathan Vegas. Johnny Vegas is the favorite here, and then Fabian Gomez, Romero, and Ledesma. I have all those guys way, 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 way down the rankings for me. It's basically Vegas and Villegas near the top. I have them damn near even, and then again, like I said, the other three way down the board. Villegas top 20ish in approach in this field. He's great around the green, and he's even putting pretty well right now. So getting him at plus 220 compared to Vegas, I really do consider this a head to head. Any of those guys could go scorched earth and make me look stupid, but I consider it a head-to-head between Villegas and Vegas. So plus 220 on that I like a lot. And I'll look for him to hopefully just like three or four of the guys don't make the cut. And I don't have to sweat any of those guys shooting like a 66 on Sunday or something silly. So
Well, I think these hole-in-one bets are making me look stupid. I can't hit them. I can't hit them. It is the curse of the hole-in-ones. When we take a no, John Rahm ends up making one, and then he gets withdrawn. I mean, how's the bet count? How does the bet count?
I know there was rumors of people saying that their round three bets with Rom in it were getting canceled. And I'm like, oh, are they just gonna like strike it from the record and this round doesn't count?
Nope.
Nope. They absolutely took that one away from me. So yeah, Rom Hold went out last week. I couldn't do it. I'm too much of a nice guy. When you said you were betting the no this week, I'm like, God, should I just bet the yes? Like, is that the play here?
Whatever I say, do opposite on the hole-in-one. I have yet, how many episodes have we had? I have yet to hit a hole-in-one prop.
I know it was looking good too. This is a weird course for that. There's two really short, or one really short par three, like 165, I guess. One's like 250. The other ones are in between. You went with no. I'm just going to ride with the team on this. I
I
don't have
think
a
the
strong
level,
case.
look at the
Yeah.
competition. I think the level of competition, they're not really, there's no one who's really great off their tee. There's no one who stands out spectacular, great with their iron shots. You need precision to make a hole in one, and I'm just not sure that this level of field in the competition has that.
Well, I'm just hoping to. They say the greens are running fast, and some of these
Mm-hmm.
some of these par threes, the greens are protected by some water
A
in the
little off.
front. Yeah, hopefully we see these greens are tough to catch, especially from 150 out. If that's the case, I think we'll be in good shape. So, I'm also going with the no. I don't know what happened to my. Well, oh, there. Let me swing. I think I held the button too long because I was talking. It wouldn't let me swing. I was trying to hit my approach shot there. So both of us on no. And funny enough, like there's no price up for this now. So this is a tentative no. If no is like minus 200, which it shouldn't be, I would think the yes would actually be favored with the short par three on number five. But I'm assuming this will be around even money to plus 120. So no tentatively for us. But again, maybe just skip this one because it's more of a crapshoot. Although I am running super hot on these in the Masters. Just I need to wait until next April to do that again. So pancake time. It's
Pancakes.
time to carb load. Last two
I
holes
think
here.
I've read a lot about this player, John Pack. I may have butchered that, but I'm taking him for a top 20 at plus 550. He's one of the longer shots to finish in the top 20 because he's making his PGA debut, but he is an 8-time winner at Florida State University. He's won all of the annual awards that a collegiate athlete could win, and in his only prior appearance in the PGA Tour, he placed 51st at the US Open in September. So this is an easier field than that. So potentially a top 20 is in the cards at plus 550 odds for John Puck.
That is a big ass number. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
numerous people who I talk golf with like him this week, like him to play well, like him to, and they did say too, like maybe not to win, but yeah, top 20, top 30, top 40, something like that. It's funny that I didn't realize he played for Florida State
Mm-hmm.
because the guy I took for my last one here also played for Florida State, and learned this when I was trying to figure out how to pronounce his name right, and it's Lebiota. I'd ask people is it Leboida or Loboda, and they're like neither, Andy. It's Lebiota. Lebiota, Florida State kid, plus 320 for top 30. He's a guy I'm going to back in a different matchup as well over Vaughn Taylor. Hammer and Hank playing actually pretty well right now. He's made the cut the last 3 times out. 2 top 20s in there to boot. I think top 20, top 30, top 40. All of those are good looks. All of those are going to be plus money for a guy who has 2 top 20s. And this, as we've said over and over again, is just a horrible field. Like
Mm-hmm.
catching a top 20 for a long shot. If there's some guys you like in this field, go look at their top 20, 30, 40 numbers because there's going to be I feel there's going to be some goofy names at the top of the leaderboard. And maybe they don't
Mm-hmm.
have an actual chance to win, but they're going to be in there in the top, the top 15 to top 30 somewhere in there. So again, he's top 10 in approach and greens and regulation over the last 50 rounds, just playing well average putter, but the ball striking's there. So top 20, top 30, top 40 kind of guy for me. A couple of Florida State guys to close her out. And then Redaholics with a quick question from the chat. Have either of you heard if John Rahm will be allowed to play next week?
I would assume no. If you test positive, you still have to do the protocol for the CDC is still that 14-day quarantine.
Yeah, I've heard two different things, and I will check into this. So that's what I was under the impression of as well. But then they're also said that the protocol is different for non-symptomatic, which seems like a
Oh,
rule they
okay.
made up to get them to let
To
people
get him
play
to
through.
play.
So they said it may be a 10-day. So if it's a 14-day, he might be shit out of luck. If it's 10 days, I think that'll line up right now,
10
right?
days from yeah.
Yeah, you'll end up coming the middle of next week, early like Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So he would be able to. I don't know about the travel during that time or
I
what's going on.
think, but it's also 10 days from when you tested positive. So if he didn't test positive until Saturday,
Yeah,
then that's not 10 days.
yeah, it's like Wednesday. That puts it at Wednesday. So I think even if it is the 10 days, it's still kind of tight.
It
I
is right there.
I think they'll probably do him some favors. If I'm the PGA, I feel bad right now about having to go tell him that. But again, maybe get vaccinated if you have $1 million paychecks on the line. That's also
The
a
worst
thing.
that happens is you put some money on him and he ends up being a withdrawal because he can't play again. You get refunded. So
Well, the thing is too, like I can go to any grocery store in town and get a vaccination in like the parking lot. You can go to CVS. Like these people are multimillionaires. It shouldn't be hard to
you're
get
dishing them
one.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I don't know what I shot. 8, 9 under, something like that. 63, nine
Woohoo.
under, not bad for putting one in the water early on. It bounced off. It was a bit of a false front on the green. It bounced back. So you take the good, you take the bad, you take it all. There you have WinBet, the sponsor. Check out them if you were in a legal state. $500 risk-free bet to bet some golf. Thanks to them, BetSperts, and of course my co-host Pam. You can check her out talking tennis all week. She's still pumping out tennis content. Very excited for the end of the French Open here.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully with a Greek. What's the opposite of a Greek tragedy? I think it's a Greek comedy. I don't want that either. I just want to win. I don't know where I was
I'm on
going
a
with that
doll,
sentence.
so head to head again, you and I.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully it works out for one of us. So with that, we will check you next week. Actual good tournament next week. U.S. Open, West
Let's
Coast.
open.
Good golf, good tournament, good course. Thanks, guys.
Good luck with your bets.